So welcome to the You Are the Creatrix podcast with your host, Angie Litvinoff. And this is part of the Catalyst season. And with this episode, you have me, your host, really sharing from my own heart about what it is to be your own inner catalyst and how to begin to create the changes you need in your life. In order to look at what being a catalyst means, first of all, have to just come back to looking at where you are right now. So beginning to understand in yourself that there is a real need for connection, within yourself. And that comes from creating the space in which to make that happen, to make that real. And the reason why it's important to begin from this place is that we are living in a time where we are incredibly disconnected to ourselves, to the world, to a sense of reality. We're incredibly disconnected, generally speaking, okay? And I would go as far to, as saying that even within the worlds of self-development, or maybe even especially the worlds of self-development, we need to look carefully at what connection really means and the consequences of that. And by that I mean that if we are focused on our own self-care, our own nurturing, are we really and truly connected with life around us? Are we really well and truly connected with the planet? Or are we just looking out for ourselves? So a way to develop that deep connection that's on a soulful level, which is so needed, is by really being in nature and seeing our place in it as one of social responsibility and empathy and compassion to the world, to each other, to everyone, in fact. To have a sense and everything, and have a sense that our place in creation is dependent on a balance which can only happen if we open our hearts, truly open our hearts, but also be aware of how we navigate ourselves. So, there's a lot I want to say in a very short space of time. So thank you for bearing with me, because I'm going to get to the point really quickly, that you're also not here to be a doormat. So compassion doesn't mean, other people get away with everything and we live a completely altruistic existence. No, it's about that balance of being part of a world, a community where we have empathy and compassion and connection. And there aren't any exceptions or double standards about that. So we don't have a sense of separation with, race, class, or gender divisions, for example, things that divide people into strong opinions, whether you agree with them or not. It's actually, looking at a way of being which is creating greater levels of awareness within self. And also that extends to the food we eat. Where does it come from? If the latest craze for, well-being is XYZ, but actually it relies on people being exploited in developing countries so that we can have, or things over, land being over farmed to produce it, then, how ethical is it? Where's the integrity? So, it's about balance in life, and also allowing ourselves to be part of a world where there is a huge amount of difference in the way that reality is perceived. So with all of that in the mix, with all of that in mind, what is it that allows us to connect to our inner catalyst? What is it that actually helps to support us during this process? How can we gravitate towards a place where we create that lasting change that we need in ourselves? So to begin that, we're looking at slowing life right down to be able to really feel it. Okay, because as I mentioned at the beginning, the sense of disconnection is great. We are constantly distracted by not only social media and geopathic stress, but also by standards that we're meant to live by, society's expectations. Expectations that are actually pose themselves as limiting beliefs on us. We often go through long periods of life without really questioning whether this is making us happy or is actually giving our life a sense of fulfillment. And by happiness, I don't mean euphoria all the time. I just mean a sense of being content in your skin and being able to be yourself, being able to gravitate towards knowing and understanding what that truly means to you. And connection within our own skin, connection within our own bodies, connection to our own traumas, to our own achievements on a personal level. All of these things take us to a place where we can explore more deeply what it is to be alive. And when we understand ourselves a little better, we can then assess and evaluate what it is that we need to change. Because ultimately it's not about who we need to change. It's not really about anybody else at this point. It's about making the decisions that are going to create the situations that will help you to gravitate towards balance. And being a catalyst in your own life is that really launching yourself, really being the motivator, the inspiring force, the person who validates you. And those things are so powerful. And it's not a coincidence they're not encouraged in mainstream society, the dominant paradigm, because, well, they lead to self-empowerment and asking questions and changing the paradigm. If you are able to take control of your own health and well-being without being told what to do, if you educate yourself so that you have wisdom and knowledge of what it is to be supportive of your holistic processes, of you being connected, your mind, body, spirit being connected not only to itself and the systems within you, but an external world where the inner and the outer merge. That is a very sacred way of being. And the dominant paradigm doesn't really have time for that. So being a catalyst is actually an act of rebellion. Because even within the mainstream world out there, catalysts are rebellious and hugely inspiring. So you're looking at how to support yourself essentially to create the conditions in order to make change. And for that, you need to look at self-worth. You need to look at how you value yourself and valuing yourself in ways which are nourishing and nurturing. True self-care. Self-care that has an impact on the way you think and feel. And so that you begin to crave it. You begin to crave health. You begin to crave exercise. You begin to crave meditation. You begin to crave acts of goodwill. You begin to crave compassion. You begin to crave community that is based on understanding and openness and open heart. You want to be in spaces that welcome you. And you also want to be the creator of your own day, of your own life. You want to be able to start the day by changing the way you feel, the mindset, in order to nourish your dreams and passions. This is so incredibly powerful. I cannot express really in one podcast, have to be some more, how important and essential it is for us to create the space to become our own catalysts. And that through our own efforts and small steps that are consistent, particularly at the beginning of the day, but also at the end of a day, that we begin to change the way we feel. And by changing the way we feel, we arrive at a point that enables us to make decisions based on what we truly need and deserve, regardless of what is happening around us, which may be taking away from us, maybe taking that away from us momentarily, distractions, etc. Responsibilities, life. Because ultimately we are surrounded by other people who have needs too. And, it's also about being part of that. Creating the headspace to nourish and nurture is essential. And so daily practices help you to begin that process so that you create habits that are supportive of your dream and vision and passion. Even if you don't know what your dream and vision and passion are, right? It doesn't matter right now. Create the conditions in which to allow it to come forward. Because it's also could coincide with your reinvention. It could coincide with major life changes. And all the more reason to have your feet on the ground and your mind clear. So being your own catalyst is about making choices and taking decisions. Sometimes the decisions are not choices. Sometimes there's only one way forward in order to help yourself. Well, the choice is either you stay where you are or you move forward. It can be that bland, because also there's a sense of discipline that comes in about when you've had enough. When the mental torture is reached a point where you just, you know that you've reached the cutoff point. You really, that you have to do something. And I do speak from the heart on this, because there have been times in my own life when I have really felt how I have held myself back, but also those moments or times have been because I was really not ready to move forwards, and I needed to give myself the time to explore and grieve and then let go. And it's not graceful necessarily. Sometimes it's clumsy, painful, full of rage. But knowing and understanding why it's clumsy and painful and full of rage will come to you with a clear mind. And that this being a catalyst is also about understanding that, it is not an altruistic process. It's not a process of losing your personality. And it's not even a process that, you necessarily will have huge levels of self-control constantly and, be in an idyllic state. And also, there's a huge amount of pressure to somehow reach a point in spirituality where you like don't get angry or something. Well, that's just ridiculous. So that's totally unrealistic in my life anyway. If we're being honest, we're looking at all our emotions and how we relate to them, and how we respond to them. So as you become more of a catalyst in your life, what you're actually doing is that you're creating moments, conditions in which to explore the next move. And that next move is reliant on you truly being open and raw and honest with yourself about what you truly need. And as you give yourself more of what makes you happy and makes you feel good inside and out, on a very, very profound level. Okay, we're talking beyond the superficial self-care now. Okay, we're talking about true emotional tools that will support and help you grow in your wisdom, truth, understanding, and connection on the deepest level, in order to liberate yourself from all the bullshit that holds you back in life. Sometimes we can't change everything, but it's quite incredible what we can change, even in the most difficult moments of our lives. That finding the eye of the storm will be what gets you through, but it can also be what opens this enormous doorway of understanding and crossing a threshold too of huge possibilities for you, because you carry yourself and your sense of being in your skin, sense of knowing yourself enough at that moment in time to really stand strong. So you can see I'm really passionate about this, and I'm passionate for you because you carry this ability in yourself to generate the beginnings, to conjure up the very start of something. And that change, sometimes it's coming anyway, right? Sometimes it's imminent. But that it takes so much courage that as you nurture your sense of worth, you will support yourself really well, because you know that you are worthy of this. And it is for you. It is your right. And in this way, what happens, which is just so phenomenal, is that other people can see you've got it together, you've really done it, and it's inspiring. And it gives other people permission, because they give themselves permission. It's not that you are telling anyone how to live their life, but by living yours in truth and authenticity, you are normalizing it. And so the story begins to change. And being a catalyst is an act of rebellion. So as the story begins to change, so does everything around it. And for that, I am deeply grateful to life, because the potential that we hold within us is so powerful, although we don't always feel it. And because of that, because there are moments of strength and there are moments when we feel battered and bruised and we feel defeated, because of that, all the more reason to nurture habits that will help us, that will be the lifeline at times. You know, getting up and doing a meditation or journaling or pulling a card, motivational card at the beginning of the day, or doing some stretches or singing a song or watching the sunrise could be the lifeline at times. It's not take it for granted. It's not underestimate its power. So yeah, tell me how you think. Tell me how you're going to be the catalyst in you. Tell me, I'd love to know. Write a comment or send a message to let me know how you're getting on with that. And if you've got any any questions about how you can work with me, there are 3 different ways to work with me, either through my Women's Ceremonialist and Circle Facilitator training, or my Rites of Passage immersions of life, death and rebirth, or my women's circles. If you've got any questions at all, there are 2 downloadable courses as well, which you can do in your own time if you wanted to just get on with that for now. Reach out and I would be delighted to give you some time and to see really where you're at in your journey in terms of how I can help you best. Thank you so much for listening.